The strengths and weaknesses of Rwanda. Welcome to Explore and thanks for watching. In this video, we shall be looking at the strengths and weaknesses of the beautiful country of Rwanda. Rwanda is a landlocked country in the Great Rift Valley where the African Lakes region and East Africa converge. One of the smallest countries on the African mainland, its capital city is Kigali. Located a few degrees south of the equator, Rwanda is highly elevated with its geography dominated by mountains in the west and the savanna to the east, with numerous lakes throughout the country. Rwanda has been governed as a unitary presidential system with a bicameral parliament ruled by the Rwandan Patriotic Front since 1994. The country is a member of the African Union, the United Nations, the Commonwealth of Nations, COMESA, OIF, and the East African Community. Rwanda is a unique country with strengths and weaknesses, and in this video we will explore both in order to make valid judgments on the country. The strengths of the African nation Rwanda are the internal aspects of the country, being either natural or man-made, which helps or fosters the country's growth and progress. The weaknesses, however, on the other hand, are internal aspects that hinder the country's improvement and the strikes which make a nation less attractive to investors, foreigners, and most importantly, its citizens. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Strengths of Rwanda. 1. Geological potential. At 26,338 km square, Rwanda is the fourth smallest country on the African mainland after Gambia, Eswatini, and Djibouti. The waters shared between the major Congo and the Nile drainage basins runs from north to south through Rwanda, with around 80% of the country's area draining into the Nile and 20% into the Congo via the Rusizi River and Lake Tanganyika. The industrial sector is small, contributing 14.8% of GDP in 2014. Products manufactured include cement, agricultural products, small-scale beverages, soap, furniture, shoes, plastic goods, textiles, and cigarettes. Rwanda's mining industry is an important contributor, generating $93 million in 2008. Minerals mined include cassiterite, coltan, gold, precious stones such as aquamarine, ruby, sapphire, etc. All these potentials make the country's economy more stable and set a great foundation for future projects. Number 2. Good climate. Rwanda has a temperate tropical highland climate with lower temperatures than are typical for equatorial countries because of its high elevation. Kigali in the center of the country has a typical daily temperature range between 12 to 27 degrees Celsius, with little variation throughout the year. There are some temperature variations across the country. The mountainous west and north are generally cooler than the lower lying east. There are two rainy seasons in the year. The first runs from February to June and the second from September to December. These are separated by two dry seasons, the major one from June to September, during which there is often no rain at all, and the shorter and less severe one from December to February. Rainfall varies geographically, with the west and northwest of the country receiving more precipitation annually than the east and southeast. Number 3. Tourism potential. Tourism is one of the fastest growing economic resources and became the country's leading foreign exchange earner in 2007. In spite of the genocide legacy, the country is increasingly perceived internationally as a safe destination. The number of tourist arrivals in 2013 was 864,000 people, up from 504,000 in 2010. Revenue from the tourism was $303 million in 2014, up from just $62 million in 2000. The largest contributor to this revenue was mountain gorilla tracking in the Volcanoes National Park. Rwanda is also one of the only two countries in which mountain gorillas can be visited safely. The gorillas attract thousands upon thousands of visitors per year who are prepared to pay high prices for permits. Other attractions include Nyungwe Forest, home to chimpanzees, Ruwenzori colobus, and other primates, the resorts of Lake Kivu and Akagera, a small savanna reserve in the east of the country. In prehistoric times, mountain forests occupied one-third of the territory of present-day Rwanda. There are several rare or endangered plant species in Akagera, including Macamia lutea and Eulophia guineensis. There are 670 bird species in Rwanda, with variation between the east and the west. Also, recent entomological work in the country has revealed a rich diversity of praying mantis, including a new species, Diastica terigifrutex, dubbed the bush tiger mantis. Number 4. Developing industrial base economy. Rwanda's economy suffered heavily during the 1994 genocide, with widespread loss of life, failure to maintain infrastructure, looting, and neglect of important cash crops. This caused a large drop in GDP and destroyed the country's ability to attract private and external investment. The economy has since strengthened, with per capita GDP estimated at $2,444 in 2019, compared with $416 in 1994. Major export markets include China, Germany, the United States, to whom they export their various cash crops including coffee. Rwanda is a country of few natural resources, and the economy is based highly upon subsistence agriculture by local farmers using simple tools. Number 5. Good business climate. Rwanda is one of the most favorable business environments on the African continent, and policies for infrastructure development. Reforms carried out since 2000 transformed Rwanda into a country with an attractive business environment, as indicated by high rankings on international business indicators. Rwanda was ranked 32nd globally and second in sub-Saharan Africa on the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business, which has brought in numerous investment prospects and opportunities, which have been realized or are on the way. The government makes its policies and priorities clear, and the investors fall in line accordingly. The Rwandan government prioritizes funding of water supply development during the 2000s, significantly increasing its share of the national budget. This funding, along with donor support, caused a rapid increase in access to safe water. In 2015, 74% of the population had access to safe water, up from about 55% in 2005, which the government was determined to make up to 100% by 2017. The government currently has set a sanitation, hydroelectricity, increasing the scale of agriculture to commercial poverty reduction, increased direct investment, improve infrastructure on its agenda, and has been working on such plans with its donors. Number 6. Significant progress in governance and relative political stability. Rwanda had such a depreciated reputation in the past due to poor governance, the genocide, and civil war, but that is no longer a worry to this ever developing nation. This is seen in its governing improvement and political stability the country has been enjoying in recent times. Human Rights Watch have praised the Rwandan government for progress made in the delivery of justice, including the abolition of death penalty. Rwanda has low corruption levels relatively to most other African countries. In 2014, Transparency International ranked Rwanda as the fifth cleanest out of 47 countries in sub-Saharan Africa and 55th cleanest out of 175 in the world. The constitution provides for an ombudsman whose duties include prevention and fighting of corruption. Public officials, including the president, are required by the constitution to declare their wealth to the ombudsman and to the public. Those who do not comply are suspended from office. The weaknesses of Rwanda. 1. High dependence on commodity prices and international aid. Rwanda's friendly business ties climate has led to numerous countries and organizations rushing into the investment hub of the world, Rwanda. This has a side of creating an aid dependent country, which also implies a nation whose policies and decisions will not depend 100% on the internal functioning of the government, but also on investors and donors of the country. Donor aid represents an important source of financing for the Rwandan public budget. On average, assistance accounts for 30 to 40% of public expenditure, which is very high for any country. It's just a matter of perspective and hope that the nation's investment reception does not become a double edged sword on its economy and politics. Number 2. Narrow economic base. Being a landlocked nation, primary commodities exporter whose economy is focused on agriculture, accounting for 32% of GDP and 80% of employment, Rwanda has a narrow economic base. Reports have established that more than 400,000 Rwandans make their living from coffee plantation. Reliance on agricultural exports make Rwanda vulnerable to shifts in their prices. Animals raised in Rwanda include cows, goats, sheep, pigs, chicken, and rabbits, with geographical variation in the numbers of each. Production systems are thus mostly traditional, although there are a few intensive dairy farms around Kigali. Shortages of land and water, insufficient and poor quality feed, and regular disease epidemics with insufficient veterinary services are major constraints that restrict output. Fishing takes place on the country's lakes, but stocks are very depleted, and live fish are being imported in an attempt to revive the industry. 3. Dependence on micro farming and techniques. Apart from Rwanda being a nation whose population is based on agriculture, the agricultural processes and techniques are so micro based as most are done on small farms using subsistence methods. An estimated 90% of the working population on farms and agriculture constitutes an estimated 32.5% of GDP. Farming techniques are basic, with small plots of land and steep slopes. Since the mid 1980s, farm sizes and food production have been decreasing, due in part to the resettlement of displaced people. Despite Rwanda's fertile ecosystem, food production often does not keep pace with population growth, and food imports are required. But in recent years, with the growth of agriculture, the situation has improved. In October of 2019, Mara Corporation launched the first African-made smartphone in Rwanda, which we hope will take agriculture to a large scale. Number 4. High demographic pressure. As of 2015, the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda estimates Rwanda's population to be about 11.3 million people, which was a great increase from 2012's 10.5 million. Besides the high rates of population increase, the youth population is also a huge problem, as the population is young and estimated that 43.3% of the population are aged 15 and under, and 53.4% between 16 and 64. According to the CIA World Factbook, the annual birth rate is estimated at 40.2 births per 1,000 inhabitants. In 2015, the death rate was at 14.9%. The life expectancy is 59.67 years, which is the 26th lowest out of 224 countries and territories. Population pressure is also a problem. At 445 inhabitants per square kilometer, it makes Rwanda's population density amongst the highest in Africa. Historians such as Gerard Prunier believe that the 1994 genocide can be partly attributed to the population density. The population is predominantly rural, with a few large towns, dwellings, and evenly spread throughout the country. This youthful population means that a larger part of the population is dependent, and the population density makes economic strategizing a challenging task for the government. Conclusion: Rwanda had a rocky past which left the nation in a gloomy spectrum, but emerging from such a dark past and political instability to becoming one of Africa's investment hubs is a telling sign of what good governance and people who never drop the baton can do for a country's political, economic, social, and infrastructural progress. It is thus a seldom accolade, but Rwanda has gone from political turmoil to least corrupt, cleanest, and even most business friendly just under a decade. At its peak, lessons have been learned and notes taken for a more diverse and engaging nation less dependent on foreign aid. This will not only make Rwanda a developing country, but also a truly free and independent nation. There you have it, explorers, those were the strengths and weaknesses of Rwanda. Thanks for watching this video. If you want us to cover any of your topics, leave a suggestion in the comments and we will do what you grant your request. Also, if you did enjoy this video, do well to give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe and share with your friends.